20 years ago, Dr. Amouyal and his team asked us if we would like to carry out this experiment. First of all, it's true that I am personally quite fond of music, and secondly, the idea enticed me. The experimentation that had already been conducted also interested and reassured me, since it had been carried out professionally, with the music recording and the pre- and post-tests, as well as the follow-up that ensued. He also asked us to help him further develop the initial music that he gave us, which was music that had been composed by himself and his team. He asked us to help him further develop the music by sending him the drawings done by our patients while listening to his music, as well as the sheets we gave them on which they wrote comments. I believe that the documents we provided him helped enrich their observations as well as the music composition. It showed them which pieces needed to be further developed, or on the other hand, which pieces needed to be shortened and where they needed to develop other pieces, since some tended to draw more of a response than others. And regularly, Dr. Amouyal and his team would send us tapes and later CDs to update our music collection. In this way, we were able to observe the increasingly positive effects these cassettes and CDs had on our patients.
The music therapy sessions at Relaxazur take place 3 times a week and last on average about 2 to 2.5 hours, even though I tend to go over a bit. The patients listen to one of the Catharsis CDs we've chosen for a period of 30 minutes.
Il manque très tôt là.
Et en même temps, il n'y a rien entre les deux, quoi.
Here we have black clouds. Everything is black, and it scares me. There are flames, and I can't leave. Those are rocks that are about to fall on top of me. And I can't escape because with the fire, and what is that? That's the light of day, but it's very far away. Here the Titanic is at the very bottom of the water, with a bell and sirens. Those voices we hear in the music. The ooh, with a harp and a woman who's playing it. After that, there's the sea, and above it, a French boat with a rudder. The anchor is cast, and that's to go save them. The sun is big, the sea is pretty, the sky is beautiful. Here I've written the name Titanic, and I also signed my drawing. And at the very bottom of the sea, a big face is smiling with eyes and hair, and she's sticking out her tongue. She's at the bottom of the water, watching everything going on. It's calm, tranquil, happy. And who did you say the face is? I think it's me at the bottom. I'm watching everything from the bottom, and I like what I see because I'm smiling. I'm happy. Well, mine is a lot simpler. This is the blue sky, the sun, the sea, sailboats. I'm beginning to enjoy life again. It's war. It's a vision that came to me after listening to the music. And does it represent something? No. It's something I experienced in Lebanon. Here we can see that a war has passed through. I feel sick. I don't feel well. My stomach hurts. That's my brain. It's like a meteorite that's falling from the sky. That's the sky, and this is the sea. Here are some pebbles, and this is hope, but it's also a meadow. The sea is coming in with all its might and huge waves. That's why I drew the meadow in this direction. It was like we tried to put up our hands to stop it, but the sea is going to rush onto us anyway. That's my brain with gangrene on it. It's everything that doesn't make sense, that's going to fall into the ocean. But it's also a meteorite, something that came from somewhere else. But this music, it's really powerful. I mean, I felt it in my stomach, at my plexus. I felt it everywhere. If I broke down, it's because I couldn't color anymore. I couldn't draw anymore. At the end, I drew these little pieces here, but honestly, I think the last 3 or 4 minutes, I was just holding my pencil. I looked at myself, and I couldn't even move my pencil anymore. Everything I couldn't say, the words that don't come out, the words that I couldn't get out, I was able to represent them in my drawing. Maybe it's easier too. You can express your feelings. It didn't feel like I was drawing. It was automatic. The pencil just moved. I wasn't even trying. Without the music, I wouldn't have drawn like this. I wouldn't have drawn circles like this. Okay, so this session is divided into 2 parts. For the first part, we will listen to the music for half an hour, so please try to relax as much as possible. Close your eyes and concentrate on what you feel inside. You may see images or experience physical sensations and feelings. It's the opposite of how I felt earlier. I found the music rather soft, almost religious. But religious in the sense, Israel, and the kind of music from over there. I saw pretty much all of my family. Well, anyway, the male members. Starting with my dad, my brother, my son, my husband, and my ex-husband. In the session, I was able to jump over hurdles. I just needed a little push, and then I was off again in the tune. Oh wow, I was up above. That music made me float. I saw myself in a different light. I was thin. I could walk and move around without any handicap. And I felt a lot of peace. I had a real impression of peace. I was really relaxed. So in the end, you were relaxed? Relaxed, yes. Emotionally, it sort of got rid of or pushed away the images from a little while ago when I wasn't feeling well. I moved on to something entirely different. I moved on to another me that I'd like to become. I relived everything that happened. My husband's death, the hospital, the coma, the flames that burned his casket, all of that. But I'm pretty strong and I'll face it all. And how do you feel now? Relaxed. Relaxed and hopeful? Yes. Hopeful that I'll go back home and be with my friends again. I was burying my son. And that was really very painful. And at the end, what was painful? It was very hard to bear. The death of my son was extremely hard to bear. I couldn't accept that he had died. I didn't accept it. I couldn't accept that my son had died. And then afterwards, during the next phase, I got on a boat and went far, far away. I can still see myself going far away from here by boat. And how did you feel? I felt empty, but with a sense of well-being. Like I was getting away from everything that had happened. And I felt good. And even now I feel very good. And very good, what does that feel like? Very relaxed. Calm. And that anger, did it leave, or do you still feel it? No, it's gone. I saw a bird in the sky, all alone, like Jonathan the seagull, who was approaching. And then all of a sudden, he saw the earth was getting closer, so he landed with the other birds. There was also a couple dancing in the middle of the birds, in a classical ballet with pirouettes and jumps. It was pretty to see all that. Then, far away in the distance, there was a boat. And as the sun went down in the horizon, the boat approached. The music with the oboes and violins and all that, it led the boat that was sailing towards the horizon. The sun set in the horizon, and it was a nice feeling. It was pleasant. It was much better than at the beginning, because at the beginning, it wasn't distressing, but it was sad. It was sad like there was someone there all alone. That bird joined the others on Earth. That was nice. There was less sadness, less solitude. And now, is the sadness still there, or did it leave? No. What's left now? Questions. Questions? How am I going to react? How am I going to be able to go home and go back to my old way of life, with my husband, my son, my work, and my colleagues. After having spent some time here and at the hospital too, I've been gone almost 3 months. I feel like I can't really remember my husband or son. I feel like everything is going to be new, and I'll have to rediscover everything again. Well, what's important, I think, it's true that I was really amazed to see just how easy it is to return to one's childhood and the problems associated with it. Because in psychiatry, repressed memories, for example, are extremely hard to retrieve because of our self-defenses. Here, our self-defenses are somehow minimized. Yet I find that it really respects the person, because they aren't forced to do anything. They're the ones who really give the authorization or not to go beyond their defenses. It's a non-intrusive technique, and it respects people because they can go at their own pace. It's also pretty effective because, if you look at the results, I've been pretty amazed sometimes. Patients sometimes even find for themselves the correlation between things. One time, I had a patient who did 2 sessions with me, and she noticed certain things, but she didn't understand them. And then later on that week, she came to see me and said, I finally understood. I left the city, I saw a big mountain, and there I understood. So you see, it makes you think about things afterwards. It's interesting. I really like this technique because I find that it gives you time to yourself. I've been listening to this music for the last 2 years, but it doesn't seem like I'm hearing the same thing over and over again. It's pretty incredible, actually. Some patients are like me, but some of them, instead of letting themselves go, they simply listen to the music from an aesthetic standpoint instead of using it as a medium.
I shared the music therapy experiments that were conducted at Relaxazur with my colleagues, as well as the results that we obtained. Some of them were interested, but the first obstacle we had to encounter was that, they could have their patients listen to the cassettes or CDs, but it was also necessary to provide the patients with a means by which to express themselves afterwards and talk about feelings they experienced, either while they listened to the music or after they listened to the music. And obviously, that requires that their personnel have some kind of training. The training, at Relaxazur, we were trained in part thanks to Dr. Amouyal's team, and also, I must add, that we also learned through the experience and commitment of our nurses here, because they themselves noticed the results obtained by using this technique. The nurses took the technique seriously, and through trial and error, they learned how to best use the technique, or I should say, they learned how to use it to the best of their ability, so that we could get the most out of this music therapy technique. Most likely in the future, since others are interested in the technique, and because I think others could also benefit from it, not only in outpatient clinics, but also in intensive care clinics and hospitals as well. More medical personnel will need to be trained to be able to use this technique. I believe that Dr. Amouyal's team should participate in the creation of a training program to become quote-unquote specialized caretakers or reference for music therapy. It is also my hope that this happens because, we're getting older, and I think this technique deserves to be further developed. We need to secure its future by training people who will not only take over our positions, but who will also continue to enhance this technique.